Alright, so you're watching this video because you're trying to figure out what dew point and bubble point is. You can't remember, you're looking at a PT chart or you're looking at an Android app and you can't remember what it is. So first part of this video is the dew point is going to be the low pressure. So dew point represents the low pressure side of your system. Bubble point represents the high pressure side of your system. So on your Android app, dew point is going to be your pressure temperature is low pressure. Bubble point is your pressure temperature, high pressure. Okay, so now let's say you want to figure out what that pressure really is. So let's just take a look up here at 407C. Now 407C, if you're looking at your low pressure gauge, you're going to be looking at dew point. So dew point, let's say you're working on air conditioning, dew point's going to be a 66 psi will represent 40 degrees. And a 54 psi will represent 32 degrees. So if you're looking at your high side, that's going to be bubble point. So high side, let's say you're looking at 109 degrees, that's going to be 260 psi, all the way up to 132 degrees, that's going to be 350 psi. Now let's say you're wondering why dew point is a low pressure and bubble point is a high pressure. Now, if you were in this business pre-1992, we did not refer to dew point or bubble point. We referred to condensing temperature and boiling point. That was always the range that we used. And so bubble point is condensing temperature. Dew point is boiling point. Then you say, well, why the heck would they use dew point when the dew point is the temperature that water condenses, and why would they use bubble point? Because that sounds like boiling to me. It seems like it's backwards. Well, the terminology is a little backwards. So when they're referring to dew point, they're referring to the saturated vapor that is leaving the evaporator coil before superheat's added to it. So they're referring to it as saturated vapor. The temperature that it is condensing is the same temperature that it's boiling, because a saturation temperature means that it will be either a vapor or a liquid at that temperature pressure. So they're looking at it from a vapor perspective versus looking at it from a liquid perspective. It seems a little backwards, but that's what they did. Same thing on the high side. When they have the bubble point here, they're looking at it from a liquid perspective, saturated liquid, versus a vapor perspective. So the bubble point, as you notice, is right here, which is where we're at a saturated liquid stage. Now, when you're looking at this chart, this is the refrigerant chart, cycle chart. So just to kind of go over this real quick if you're interested. So this is at the point where we leave our compressor. This is a superheated high pressure vapor. We are at our head pressure line, which this line represents our head pressure. So when we leave our compressor, for the most part, we're staying pretty much at the same pressure. But as we move to the left, we're reducing heat. So we're at a superheated high pressure vapor. We reduce heat as we're in our condenser coil. And at this point, we are now a saturated vapor. Now, at this point, we start condensing. So as we reject heat in our condenser coil, we are condensing, which is why they call it a condenser coil. We're condensing the refrigerant into a liquid. At this point, we have condensed all of the refrigerant into a liquid. So that's its saturation point. Now, here is where we subcool. We're still in the condenser coil. We subcool it to the point to where we enter the metering device. This is where we drop pressure. That's what a metering device does. It doesn't change heat content, it just drops pressure. So that's dropping pressure to where we leave at our low pressure at our evaporator coil. This is a flash gas. So this is going to be a percentage of saturated liquid, saturated vapor. That's why it's inside our curve here, because it's partial vapor, partial liquid. Mostly liquid, very little vapor. And then as we add heat in the evaporator coil, the liquid is boiling at the dew point. So the liquid's boiling until it reaches this point here where all of the liquid has boiled. And now superheat begins. So we start superheating at the evaporator coil, and then it goes through the suction line and enters our compressor, which the compressor is going to compress, raise pressure, and add heat of compression, which is known as entropy. So we're going to be adding that heat and pressure, which is a diagonal line, comes back up to where we leave at our discharge. So that's the long and short of it. Hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to put this chart. This is the Sporlan chart. I'm going to put this link to this down, and I'm also going to put the app that I use, which is the Danfoss PT app, Android app. If I can put that down below, I will. So y'all have a good day.